morning. Welcome to another edition of the Wisdom Day with Dr. Anil Bajpai, COO, Prestige Education Foundation, Indore. This is the 5th edition, and I was wondering what to discuss this time around. We've been through a lot of things. We have shared plenty of ideas, plenty of thoughts. At this point in time, I want to feel a little nostalgic and a little bit patriotic. I was once a student many years ago. Is that a correct statement? No, absolutely wrong. I am still a student, is the correct statement. So, when I was a student, and I remember this very, very distinctly, it was only when I was about 9 years old, or maybe 10 years old, that one really discovered what 5th September is all about. We had known that as the Teacher's Day, but who was being remembered and why was he being remembered? Those were little questions that I knew nothing about till I was in, I think it was class 6 or 7, when we were told that Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, the author of the great treatise of Unity in Diversity, was being remembered on his birthday, the 5th of September. What is a teacher? There can be no better definition than India. That is about teacher. India is the teacher. India is that epitome of knowledge, that epitome of wisdom, that epitome of all that exists around in this world today that we call Gyan, or we call wisdom. It's only the peace-loving nature of this nation that lent itself to onslaughts by a lot of invaders and colonizers like the Mughals and the British, which recreated history and erased everything ethnic about India from history books. And yet, let me now give you a little inkling on a couple of things. The Greek, the Egyptians, and the Indians are known to be the oldest civilizations of the world. Well, let's talk about mathematics. In mathematics, we have had the Greeks who hated the zero. They didn't like the zero. And India was built upon zero. And today, you realize that everything in mathematics is based on the decimal point. Binary arithmetic, which is the fundamental of computers, computing, IT, everything else that goes along with IT, was created out of ones and zeros, and that's very Indian. So much so for mathematics. And we've had some of the greatest mathematicians of all time, most recently Ramanujam, who, as the legend goes, was a good friend of Thomas Hardy. And when Hardy visited him in Chennai, or that time Madras, on his dying bed, you know what? Ramanujam asked Hardy, what was the number of the taxi that you came in? And he said, my word, Ramanujam, my friend, why do you ask such a question? But being the mathematician that Hardy was, he said something. He said 1729 or something like that. And you know what the response was? The response was, Hardy, I didn't think that you would ignore such a number. This is the only number that is the sum of two entities, a square and a cube of two elements. That's the level with the Indian mathematicians have worked. Let's go to the next step, something called more entertaining, music. You've all seen Sound of Music, the movie. If you have not, you must see it. It's a musical, it's a brilliant musical. And it introduced, or rather reintroduced to the clientele, all about what do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti is. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's how the whole thing went. Where did that come from? That came from this great Rig Ved. The Rig Ved, which is the God knows how many years old. Some people say 5, some people say 10, some people say 15,000 years ago. And the Rig Ved has Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, Sa. Doesn't that sound like Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do? And yet, you forgot about Saregama. Saregama is a sargam. Sargam, you've heard about words like this is the whole gamut of things. What is gamut? Gamut means the entire A to Z. And gamut is a Sanskrit word. It's used in the English language. How is it working? It's working so simple. Ga, ma from Saregama, and ut means above everything, completeness. So gamut is the Sanskrit word which says from A to Z, everything inside it. It's so simple. Let me look at another part of what the Indian world has taught to the entire planet. Language. Language. So there was Spanish, there was Latin, there was Italian, there was English, there was all these languages which emanated from the Latin. The Latin has a certain concept and a certain construction of the words. The sentence that is formed in the Latin language is in a certain manner. It has a declension and a conjugation of every word. And once the combination takes place, the sentence has meaning. But it's so amazing when you come and discuss about the Sanskrit language. The Sanskrit language is today getting recognized as the most fundamental of all languages. It is the most phonetic language. You cannot have two pronunciations. You cannot have a CUT cut and a PUT put. You cannot have any other meaning than what is intended in the sentence. You cannot have any confusion about anything in the Sanskrit language. And how is it different from the rest? It's different because in Sanskrit there is declension of noun, there is conjugation of verb, and there are cases. There are cases. Many of you would have read Sanskrit, studied Sanskrit at the basic level. We have got something in Sanskrit called dhatu. Dhatu is the root. Root is the etymology. The etymology of a word goes back to its dhatu. For instance, if I asked you a masculine word like Ram. Ram is a dhatu. Now Ram can go on and you can formulate many combinations and derivatives from Ram. The dhatu gives rise to cases, many cases. It starts with the karta, karam to sambodhan. Now what does it mean? It means you have various cases, the nominative case, the dative case, the interrogative case, and so on and so forth. How very ingenious and how very scientific. And then you have, when you talk about verbs, and you have conjugations. You have 5 different methods. The lakar, as they called in Sanskrit, lat, lit, lot, lang, alat. These are nothing but various 3 into 3, 9, 9 into 5, 45 different combination or rather different forms of the same verb. It takes care of all tense, it takes care of all case, it takes care of all gender, it takes care of anything that you can think of in terms of communication. So friends, today being a day after Teachers' Day, I want to recognize and I want to salute Mother India, the teacher of the world. Yes, we've been marauded, we've been plundered, we've been changed by many onslaughts on our country. But somewhere the embers still remain. And if we all rather, get together, we can rebuild the glory that was India. Thank you. And signing off from this edition of the Wisdom Day is Dr. Anil Bajpai. Till the next week, bye bye from now.